And we thank God for what he's doing in your life. Please, please, please remain at his feet. Continue to seek his face, because we depend on you to live right so that the Lord will speak to you, to speak to us. God bless you, Dr. Richards. We love you. And I hand you over to the family.
Thank you so much, Prophetess. Good evening to you, to the elders and ministers, every family member, and to anyone who's new tonight. You know, your this lady always makes me feel so special, not just when she's introducing me. She takes care of me. I have to tell you that. I say this before you and before God. She's always fussing over me. If I bounce my foot, she would want to know how you feeling, what's going on. She fusses over me. She makes sure that I eat. When I say, I'm hungry, you want food now, you want something, she's always fussing over me. And listen, I am a blessed man. I really am blessed, and I do not take it for granted. We have our times when we don't agree on things, but this is part of the process. This is part of how marriage is supposed to be and life is supposed to be. God made us all different, and is putting the differences, making the differences work. Because you don't want another prophetess here. You don't want another Pastor Richards there. You don't want us to be the same. We are different, like the fingers on your hand. They're all different. And so, I'm thankful for this woman of God. I keep telling her, one of the things I keep saying, apart from I love you, is that I'm proud of you. I keep telling her that when I hear her minister, especially, from where she's come to where she is now, I'm always telling her, and I say it again tonight, Prophetess, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud to be your husband. God couldn't have done a better job. Or I should say, I couldn't have done a better job than what God did in bringing us together. So I thank God for you. And so as we continue this evening, I missed you. No, let me not say that. I was busy last evening. I went to do ministry, different type of ministry. And I actually said yes because it's something that I used to be invited to years ago. And when our ministry started, I stopped going. There was a gospel episode show. I have to tell you, I don't know if Prophetess told you last evening. And I don't usually go and sing anywhere anymore. But for the simple reason that I did a new song, I think I told you all that, I did something new. And I felt this was the appropriate place to launch it, to get the response, because I was really excited. I am really excited about this new song. I've written many, many songs. There's something exciting about this one, because it's kind of a personal testimony. And I shared it last evening, and it was well received. I have to tell you, it was well received. I had a great time. I did two of my latest songs. The one that they never heard and one that was heard before, but it's not heard much. And they were both well received. And we had a great time. We had a time of ministry, real ministry, last evening. And so I thank God. So I'm just reporting to you. What happened last evening. And it was a really, really good time. Apart from me singing, I sat in the audience and listened to others, and I was blessed. I was really blessed. So I thank God, and that is my report as far as what happened last evening. Also, to want to remind you that, not remind you, but to say to you, today is February 12th, and last night was the second time that I really missed ministry. And when I say miss, I'm here all the time. Prophetess and I are always here. We are here in this meeting, other meetings. We are always here. And last evening was one of the times that I missed The first time, as a matter of fact, I think the first time we had canceled ministry for that night. And the reason for that is on the 10th of February, 4 years ago, that would be what, 2022? The 10th of February 2022, some of you who were here would know that's the day we got into a motor vehicular accident on the Lady Young Road, where our car was written off, entire family was in the vehicle, and Prophetess ended up getting the worst of it, and we had to go to the hospital, and she got her foot stitched up and bandaged up, and I couldn't even look at it. I couldn't even look at it. And it was really a time, but out of it came blessings. Out of it, what the devil intended for good, God turned it around. But not the devil, sorry, intended for evil. My apologies. God turned it around for good. And we were blessed. I remember I would have shared this with you. We were there that night and we wanted to leave. We were in the hospital and we wondered why we stayed so long. And we thought we were going to go home so many times, but we spent hours and hours and hours. And then finally, this doctor was assigned to us. And in our conversation with him, he found that we were pastors. And just like that, when we were leaving, he put his hand in his pocket, took out some money and put it in my hand. He said, I want to sow this into you, $1,000. Imagine a doctor in a hospital giving us $1,000. It's as though, we had a service and we were picking up offering or tithes or something. And that was just one of the blessings that we got that night. And when I say one of the blessings, I don't mean we got other financial blessings. There were other blessings, lessons learned. And even out of that, God has shown himself strong in our lives. So we are happy that 4 years later, we are still here. The ministry has grown. And I thank God. I thank God that my family is alive. As you would recall, where Prophetess was sitting is where Judah usually sits. So he would have, and that day, that seats were switched. And if he had taken the impact because a car hit us and as we were hit into a lamppost, a pole. And First Lady was sitting on that side. Had it been Judah on that side, because she's bigger and she was able to absorb the impact better than if Judah would have been sitting there. So all that we see God working. And even, someone, a woman of God told us, she said and I took, because of who it is, I took her word for granted that was an assignment to take out our entire family. And so God protected us. The gentleman who hit us said he don't know, he didn't know what happened. He said he was driving 1 minute and I think he just blacked out. His car ran into ours. And, I was looking at a picture today and the wheel, not the tire, the wheel flew off with the impact. I've never seen that where one car hit another car and the entire wheel just flew off. And so I'm saying all that to say God has kept us. And I'm thankful that we're here today. And we're here and you are here 4 years later, and God has kept us. So let us continue from where we were on Tuesday. Today is Thursday, on Tuesday. Now, we were talking about this 3-letter word that is taboo in many, many quarters, in many circles. The word sex, sex, that we don't talk about. We feel a how talking about, because it seemed to be some sort of secret thing or sacred thing, or I don't know what other adjective to use to describe it. But it is something that we need to talk about, because one, our children are introduced to it long time. You used to have that talk with your children about the birds and the bees. Now the children know about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the plants and everything before you. So it's not about having that conversation with them again to inform them. Maybe you can have that conversation to find out how much they know. And maybe there are some things they can teach you. So sex is something that ought to be spoken about openly in your home, in the church. They talk about it at work. They talk about it in the community. And they talk about it. It's in your in your home in terms of the shows, the television shows and the movies, and we need to talk about it. So we were talking last evening, and we were talking about a woman withholding sex from her husband. And in the discourse that we had, someone asked a question, um, and we answered the question, but I found it interesting. It just kept going over and over in my mind, about this question. So I want to come back to it a little bit because I did some further research into it. And not only that, I tried to do a poll. I didn't get very far in that. I didn't get connected with the amount of people I wanted to get connected to because I wanted to ask them the question. Now, the reason for this, and I want us to understand, because as I told you, it's research that I've done. The Bible talks about sex and the sanctity of sex, which is supposed to be done within the marriage. And we know that, and this is what we believe. And when we talk about sex here, we're talking about marital sex, a husband and a wife. All right? But there are things that we experience that the Bible is not explicit about. The Bible doesn't tell you, for example, it doesn't tell you to drink water every day, but you don't have to drink water. It doesn't tell you about your pancreas and the stomach, about, as Prophetess was teaching a little while ago. God has given men wisdom concerning the things that he created, so that we would learn. So we have a doctor, we have Dr. Samantha. She would have gone to school and she would have learned. We have nurse Bernadette, who would have gone to school and learned about the human body and things like that. And but there are things they didn't go to school with a Bible or to learn the Bible. They learned it based on information that has been gathered over time. And so when I share this with you, these are some of the things that we would have gathered as we go through life, as we get married. There are things that a husband and wife learns, but it must be done within the context of marriage. And so that's why I'm saying that to tell you that some of the information, or a lot of the information I'm giving you now, is what I have researched. And what I would like is, if your experience is not what I am saying, I want you to get involved. I want you to get involved. I want you to talk. Let's not keep this thing taboo. Let's not keep this thing taboo. People might think, well, I'll be sharing my personal business. No, not necessarily. When you ask a question or you make a comment, we're not going to assume that it's about you and your life. It may be what you have heard or what you have picked up or what you've learned, what you've read, and you want to add to the conversation. So don't feel shy. If you want to say, well, look, this is my experience, that's fine. But I don't want you feeling timid and shy to share, because that's why our children are learning things, because we're afraid to talk about it. We're afraid to tell them. We're afraid to tell them how. I tell my boys, I know how you feel. I tell them, when I was growing up, I felt the same way, and this is what I wanted to do, and this is what I did. I am open with them. And I tell them, I don't hide it from them. And that's why I tell them, I know what you are going through. What you are going through is what I have gone through. And any question they want to ask me, they know that. Just about an hour ago, I was telling one of them, I said, you can talk to me about anything, because I don't feel how. I need for us to know. So the question was, so should sex be scheduled or scheduled? Some people pronounce it either way. Should we schedule sex? All right. And so I started asking some married people. I wanted to ask, I had a whole list of people I wanted to ask, but I didn't get around to all of them. So it's just a few. So I'm not going to give you the results of the poll just yet. I still want to do it and come back to you. But this is some of the information that I've gathered concerning this particular question. Should sex be scheduled? Well, for somebody, it is said like King Solomon. Solomon had what, how much? 700 wives and 300 concubines. He had to schedule. Prophet, I'm sure he had to schedule because I don't know how he handled all of that. All right? But somebody said, no, because feelings don't respect time. You might schedule something for tomorrow or next week, but what about now? This is the way I'm feeling now. I'm turned on now. I'm feeling the H word, horny now. So feelings don't respect time. That's what one person said. Another person said, well, if this is the only way it will happen, then yes, because things get in the way and, it's better than nothing. So some men said, yeah, well, why not? So one guy shared this, and I'm reading. He said, my wife and I have spent a third of our lives together so far. And I got this information and I kind of tweaked it a bit because there's some things in there I just took out. I didn't want to, it wouldn't add to the conversation. Let me put it that way. So he said, my wife and I spent a third of our lives together so far. When we first started, we never scheduled sex because it just happened. Sex was constant, and we knew it was going to happen. He said, as the years have gone on, the sexual passion for each other has not diminished, but life has simply gotten in the way. Full-time jobs, moving multiple times, having children has greatly diminished the spontaneity. For a couple of years, I really struggled with this. Isn't scheduling sex going to kill intimacy? And couples who are really in love just constantly ripping each other clothes off. This is what he's thinking about scheduling sex. Finally trying out scheduling sex, it is now the primary way that intimacy happens between my wife and I. And guess what? The passion is still raging. We still have sex like college students, experimenting and all these things. But now it's simply booked into a calendar. We quickly realized after getting married that if we didn't schedule sex, it was almost never going to happen. We still don't have sex as much as we did before, but it has drastically improved. He said, when sex is locked in for a particular time, certain our day, we literally make time for it. He said, of course, spontaneity still happens once in a while. So what is he saying? He's saying that they schedule their sex. He said it works for them. He says because of life and the busyness of life, he feels that it works for them. Now, this is not a Christian person talking, but he didn't say he was or he wasn't. I'm just guessing. All right. So should it be different for a Christian? Should Christian people schedule having sex? Another part of the research is many couples who've been together for a while stop having sex because they don't make the time for it. Other activities seem more pressing, like taking care of chores, tackling extra work, and by the time you get to bed, you're exhausted. And he said, these people rather sleep than have sex. All right, I pause a minute. Any comments, question? Feel free to stop me at any time. And I want you, as I said, this is research that has been done. If you do not agree with what is said, because this is not me telling you this is the way it is. This is research. And I want you to look at this and compare it to your own situation or situations that you might know of. And let's talk. Let's talk. All right? Now, some people say that scheduling sex improves communication because planning that requires talking together, having an open conversation. So they say it improves communication. That's one. Another school of thought says it boosts intimacy in that it brings you closer together. They say when you're planning, when you're scheduling sex, you're saying, I want to be closer to you. You're important to me. You're making your relationship with me a priority. This is what they say. Don't know if you agree or you disagree. Another one say, and I'm going to stop here because I really want some interaction with you. Scheduling sex builds anticipation. They say knowing that you'll be having sex can help keep, these erotic sensual thoughts. And remember, we're talking about within the marriage, not outside of your marriage. Knowing that you'll be having sex at a particular time can help keep erotic sensual thoughts towards your spouse at the top of your mind. You look forward to it. You look forward to the adventure, and can even add to the anticipation by sending one another, by sexting one another, sending sexy texts to one another, because it's scheduled for 4 o'clock this evening or 5 o'clock this evening. So you build up, each other by sending each other these sexy texts or whatever you do. Now, I one thing, these things I want you to guard against, that you've got to be careful even in sending text to your spouse. Whether it's text, some people send pictures and videos to their spouse. You've got to be careful about doing these things, because it could end up in places that you don't want it to end up. People have had that issue before. It says my husband, so you take off your clothes and you put on something nice and sexy and you send it to him, because you want him to anticipate the time, and you miss and send it to somebody else, or it's on his phone there, and his phone is on the desk, and somebody pick it up. Hey, you got a text, boy, and they go into. There are people who do that. So you gotta be careful. And even not just sending text, you have to be careful if you have that kind of relationship with your spouse, men or women, and you have that kind of relationship that you do that, you've got to be careful to guard your phone, keep it private so that no one else has access to it. There's some people who have, well, you see, like my phone, everybody in my house have access to my phone. So I can be doing them kind of thing. Everybody knows my password. And that's everybody, the Prophetess, Joshua, Jonathan, they all know my password. So, I have to be careful about sending or receiving First Lady, Prophetess and I. Right? So we used to do that. There was a time we did that. But now, when I say they have access, I don't want anybody to feel how to say they can't send anything to me. I mean, they have access and they know my password. They don't go into my phone like that. They don't. I have to tell you that. Nobody, even though they have access, they do not go into my phone. Usually my phone is not far from me anyway. I have my phone with me. So I don't want anybody who would have sent anything to me personal, feeling that, everybody is looking at it. No, that's not the case. All right, they do not go into my phone. But what I'm saying, in the context of these sexy texts or sexting, you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful, because other people might have access. And I don't know about you all, but they may go into your phone. You may not have a situation like mine where sometimes my phone is ringing out. Daddy have a text or daddy have a call. They wouldn't answer it unless I say answer that for me. They would not go into it unless I say. Even sometimes, I remember a time First Lady, she made a mistake and pressed on something and came on up and listen, you got a text and I'm really sorry. I didn't realize and I went into it, I pressed the thing and I went into it. And it was nothing, right? So that's the kind of relationship we have in this house. We don't go into one another's thing. But I'm saying to you, you've got to be careful as a couple. If you are doing that with each other, ensure that it is just both of you that have access to it. So I want to stop here. And question or comments. Tell me what you think so far. Do you agree or disagree? or are you too shy to say?
All right, Dr. Richards, we have some comments in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we have some people saying well, agreeing with you, some saying correct. Same here. Another says some phones could even get lost or stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Another says yes, very careful, meaning be careful. Another says I am very unmarried, I have no comments.
I'm very
Um,
unmarried. Okay, I like that.
Another comment says agree to the sexting, but not sending nudes. That's a no-no for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the
Some
comments. Yeah, we don't have any hands up.
yeah, some people do that. They take pictures, they do videos, and they send to each other. And listen, social media is a thing that, listen, one mistake and that could go right around the globe. You one day, you see your picture come up just like that, or somebody from Australia sends it to you, not knowing it's you, but they just send it, they just forwarding text, that kind of thing. So you've got to be careful in this day and age. All right. So, okay, so let's continue. So again, in my research, the question was asked, how do you schedule sex without feeling weird? How do you schedule sex without feeling bad? Well, it is suggested, one, introduce the concept in a relaxed way. In a relaxed way, not, hey, I need to talk to you. Listen, you see what going on here? I can't take it on. So we had to put something together. No, it's not like that. It is suggested you say something like, hey, what do you think of us spending some special us time? Scheduling some special us time. Not scheduling sex, but scheduling some special us time, or as we say, a we time. Something like that. Introduce it in a relaxed way, in a soft way. Not as though you're pushing it down the person's throat. Not as though you're saying either we do this or. All right, that is one way it's suggested. Secondly, they say, add it to your calendar. When you do that, pick a time when you know both of you have energy. Not at the end of the day when you just reach home and you're tired. Try to pick a time when you know you will have the energy to do something like that. And what they say as well is to compromise, choosing a time that is good for you one week, because if there's conflict, 1 week, one time might work for you, or work 1 week for your partner, and then the next time might be a time that is better for you, because you need to compromise, because you may not always have, and you might not always be available, both of you at the same time. They also said to treat these sessions as serious as though you would for a meeting. You have a meeting. Look, I have a meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock with my boss or the team, right? And you would work towards doing that. They treat it like that. Number 3, they said, set the scene. Set the scene. What do they mean by that? They say, when you are scheduling sex, you have time to prepare. You have time to prepare. So they says, like in the morning, make the bed, make sure the place is clean and nice. Put on that sexy thing, your husband loves to see you in under your clothes, that kind of thing. So that when, you come home or whatever, or maybe you plan to put it on when you come home. And even when you come home, don't go straight to, okay, let me wash up the wares, let me do this, right? Because tonight is sex night. No. Set the scene even before. Okay? Number 4, they say be flexible. If there's a scheduling conflict, just reschedule. Just reschedule. And when you come together as well, even though you're scheduling a time of intimacy, that intimacy may be just, let's hug up, let's talk, let's get to know each other better. Connect in a way that feels good for both of you. It might be just, her head on your chest, lying down there and you're talking. It may not always, and women say that all the time to her. Not every time I touch you, you touch me. It has to lead to penetration. Some women, you just cuddle them and hold them and put your arms around them and keep them in that personal space, your mind. That is enough for them. Man mightn't think so, but you see, you have to be unselfish, gentlemen. You have to be unselfish, because this time, it might be cuddle time, and next time, you might have the time of your life because of this. So you've got to be flexible. It is not just, this is scheduled sex time, we have to have that. And what they're saying as well, they say that scheduling sex it doesn't always work, it's a work in progress. All right, so they say commit to trying it for at least 3 months at first. And over time, you can tweak it, based on how it works out for you. So don't be rigid in terms of that. See how it works out. Maybe, we schedule it in the morning. The morning time might be the best time. Or maybe weekends might be the better time. Or whatever it is. But you have to experiment with it to see if it can work. So these are the suggestions. I'm still waiting for a response. This is one of the quietest sessions because of the topic.
We have some comments in the chat, Dr. Richards.
Mm-hmm.
We have one person saying, I agree with you, Dr. Richards. Another says, I like that idea. Another says, schedule, I guess, can be like a date night. Another says, talk about what we used to do when we first met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of that. And, as the person said, like a date night, of course, right? But date night is usually date night. When you're scheduling, it's not necessarily only in the night, all right? Whatever time of day that works for you. It might even mean, hey, listen, on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, we'll take the day off, all right, and have some us time. We're not going to work on that day. And try not to do the same time every month, because people will realize, hey, she always taking the 2nd Tuesday off of every month. What's going on here? And you might want to get into your business. All right. So, you mix it up. Make it exciting. Make it exciting. Yeah. So, anybody else? Is this topic too personal for you? I want to get a response. Is this subject too, let's not talk about it for you?
We have 2 more comments in the chat, Dr. Richards. We have one says, take a day off from work, and another says, I'm not married yet, but I'm learning for when I am. It will be a wonderful time, and listening to these messages together to rekindle the romance.
Wonderful.
And one person says, no, meaning no answering your question. It's not too personal.
Yeah. But I don't know if I'm sensing that, because this is one time I really would like you all to get interactive. There's one time I really want you to talk, because different people have different experiences. Different people would have learned different things. Different people, some people tell my parents tell me this is the way it has to happen. All right. So they learn from their parents, they learn from other people. So this is what, let's pool this thing together and see if we could help out one another. Because there are people who are struggling, they're married, but they're struggling. And some of these things, these suggestions, you might want to try. So, but what also works is when we talk it out, when we talk about, what we know, because we're learning from each other. I am not the expert coming to tell you how it's done, but I want to engage you in conversation, because this is something you're living. Well, for those, there are some people who are unmarried, of course. But a lot of you have been married. Maybe you're looking back and saying, I wish I had tried that. I wish my marriage, I wish I had done that earlier. My marriage thing might have been better now. Maybe that's what you're saying. But I still want us to talk and to share. So, anybody?
We have a comment, Dr. Richard, that says, I'm listening and learning.
Okay. All right. So we're moving on.
Oh,
So
I just saw that Sister Debbie's hand is up, Dr. Richards.
Sister Debbie, yes. Make sure you can unmute, please.
Yeah, if you know unmute, you know, with my access to. Good night, my contagious loving family. Good night, so good night. Professor, you know, I so appreciate this this topic we having now, right? Because if I had known what I know now, then I think I might have still be married. Seriously, because it's a you know it's a more it's more depth and understanding about your partner also now, right? And you know one of the things I learned that I didn't know the up I was sharing it with one of my co-workers and them. Yeah, I always share it. There's having a discussion, and because of you and the right ministry, I learned about not just menopause. What do men go through? Say ultrapause.
Yes.
Andropause. That's what ultrapause. And I was not aware of that. So, and that's the next thing. Men, I don't know if it's the ego, if it's pride, if it's shame, that they don't speak about it with their partners. And I find that and all that's be a problem, in the relationship because she and I may not even know about it. I didn't know men just go through those things and then I just thought, well, maybe age and whatever medical reason, but I didn't know men just have this, this problem and, learning about it now, going forward. Not only just locked on and listening, but as a right, we say being active interaction because it have questions belonging to ask, right? And sometimes you go and ask the wrong people and them are not even know for themselves. They don't even know that they don't know. So I just want to come out on you and say that I do appreciate it and I'm learning a lot, going forward. Not just for myself, but to have young people, old men, who you're interacting with on a daily basis, that you be able to shed some light on their issues also now, and not say it's the woman's fault or it's the man's fault. So I just wanted to come and say I most appreciate this.
Yeah. And I thank you for saying that. And let me just say this, you also have to be careful who you go to for counsel and advice. I remember two instances, one, a lady who church I used to go to, she is a senior person in terms of age, and she has children and grandchildren. And she didn't know, in discussion, she didn't know that you can have different positions in sex. She didn't know that a number of things she didn't know. And this is a woman who is married, still married, has children and grandchildren. And we were talking about things openly, and a lot of things she didn't know and didn't understand. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know people used to do this. And, there are some people who just don't know. For years, they don't know. And so it's good to talk about these things openly. And and then another, let me leave that. Maybe when we come to it, I'll share that one or something else that a pastor, said. But we'll come to that. I don't want to bring that in now. We come to that. So anybody else? Let me switch my page so
Yes,
I can.
we have Elder Gail's hand is up and then Sister Janet Thomas.
Right. Okay, I'll switch my page. So I'm saying yes. Elder Gail.
Good night, everyone. So this is just for conversation's sake, right? Now, the scheduling of a night for sex, that's good. We work in some couples. And then some people just like spontaneity. So some people may find that, having a set date, it brings a sort of rigidity and you can't step out. So say, for instance, your night is a Wednesday night, but on a Monday, your husband comes home and he's feeling for sex, what are you going to say? Well, today is not Wednesday. So, we have to be spontaneous, it's whatever, it's how the feelings flow, because there may be some situations in some relationships, for want of discussion, where the husband may have certain issues, with his what performance, with libido, right? Yes. And so it's whenever he gets the feeling. I remember there was this girl, a friend of mine actually, and her husband has some challenges, and she would say to me, she said, "Girl, whenever the feeling coming for cooking, and the feeling come back to turn up the pot, because it's not very often that he gets these feelings." So it depends on the situation, and depends on the husband's libido, and the spontaneity and the excitement. You woman may be feeling a particular way when her husband comes on. She makes sure she bathe and well, fix up nice and smelling nice and stuff. You give him his meal, and you want. But I think in a lot of cases too, and this happens a lot in marriages. The husband is always the one. He is always ready, or whatever time. And now the wife, in a lot of cases, may want sex, but she never approaches the husband. You wait for him to approach her. And if he doesn't approach her, and you're really in the mood, but he's not approaching. So it works both ways. We as women, we have to be a little bolder. You want sex, that's your husband. I'm feeling for something tonight, And they said there's some women, you have to start from the morning. You have to wash the wares. You might pass and give a little touch, But when you see you get a little touch, what is coming in the nighttime. Some people, you have to start from early and work your way all up to the nighttime, and try not to get your wife vexed within that period. Because if you get her vexed, nothing for you in the nighttime. So it depends on it. Some people it works for the scheduled time works for them. Some people it doesn't work for them. There's spontaneity and excitement, in your marriage, and what works for you. You have to find your love language, and you have to make sure that love language works for you. So that's just what my contribution at this time.
Yeah, thank you. And it's not that we're recommending scheduling. This is just for those who and it's experts. I didn't call the names, but they're saying that it can work, but it's not for everybody. Some people like spontaneity. Some people so it depends on on your relationship. So it depends. I remember one person he was sharing, and he was not an expert, but he was a lecturer, and he was talking about his own life, and he was saying that he was in the mood, he wanted to have sex with his wife, but he knows his wife had to be in a good mood, and he did everything to make sure that she was okay and that she didn't get back. And up comes his little son doing some kind of stupidness, and he's trying to tell the boy, behave yourself, and the boy doesn't want to behave, and the mother doesn't, his wife don't like what the boy is doing, and he said he could have killed his son. Well, not literally. He said, but why? And he was getting on like that. Why is he doing this? I have plans. And so he wanted his wife to be in a particular frame of mind and a particular setting for the child, the young boy, right? I don't know how it ended up. I don't know if he told us how it ended up, but he was just saying, the right atmosphere and mood sometimes is good. It's good, but sometimes things happen to spoil it. Yeah. Okay. I see Janet Baptiste's hand up.
Good night to everyone. The same thing that Elder Gail said, I was about to say the same thing, because sometimes you schedule for, say, Sunday, and there you go, Saturday or Friday, you went and you drink something or eat something, and then the feeling comes on. What happens then? What would you do? It's almost the same thing that Elder Gail said I was going to say.
Yeah, you have to say, well, you don't have an appointment. No, your appointment is for next week. So could you come back? Something like that. Right? Yeah. So, thank you, Sister Janet. So, it depends on the couple and what works for you. Sometimes a combination of both, right? So, what they're saying, what the experts say is that, scheduling can work in certain circumstances, certain instances. It can work. I am not for one who likes scheduling. Right? And so it may not work for me, it may not work for you, but it may work for some people because we said for some men, that's the only time it's gonna happen if you schedule it. That's the only way I could pin you down, otherwise you're so busy and you're this and you always have a headache and you always no, but this morning I have my appointment. All right, so
The
I'm gonna
appointment, you could still
go
have a
ahead.
problem with the appointment date. There could still be a problem with the appointment date.
Reschedule appointment. Yeah. All right. Things happen. It could be at that time of the month for the woman. What do you do when that happens? So we have to stop here. We've gone over the time. Thank you so much. We'll have to continue at another time. But I really want you all to get more interactive and share, because we have a lot of married people and we have unmarried people who want to learn. They want to know what to do. And so we have to teach them. The older ones, the married ones have to teach the unmarried ones. And some married ones have to teach the other married ones. And some married ones have to undo what has been done and relearn and do over. And that will only come when we are interactive, when we talk with each other, when we share with each other. Amen? Wonderful. Okay, so we close off here, but there's something, indulge me, I don't like to take you over the time, but just indulge me just for a few minutes, please. We can go off YouTube now. Joshua, thank you for those of you who are on YouTube, and blessings to all of you. So